Kimazui, nope. Let's try that one more time. Konnichiwa minasan, and welcome back to my channel. You are watching a very special episode of Reina Sensei. I normally ask you guys to tweet me weird things you want to learn how to say in Japanese, and I translate them for you here. And I was doing that for last week's episode. However, I ran into something that I kind of didn't know how to translate, and it's the term socially awkward. And in Japanese, it's not just a matter of sticking the word socially together with awkward. It doesn't connote the same thing. And also because it is a psychological term, which is my forte, I wanted to dedicate an entire episode to it. So first I'll translate the tweet and go into it word by word like I normally do. The tweet came from Stargoon, who wanted to learn how to say, I'm socially awkward and this interaction is making me ridiculously sweaty. That would be, 対人恐怖症なのでこの会話で汗ぐっちゃりになっちゃいました。対人恐怖症なのでこの会話で汗ぐっちゃりになっちゃいました。対人恐怖症 is the Japanese term for anthropophobia, as in you have a fear of social interaction so much so that it renders you pathologically shy or timid. But 対人恐怖症 specifically has to do with your physical state, bodily functions, and your movements. So the fact that you want to state that you're sweaty actually ends up working perfectly with this terminology. I'll go into that in a little bit, actually. The term this interaction is a little bit mechanical and strange in Japanese, so I went with this conversation. この会話 means this conversation, and 汗 means sweat, and ぐっちゃり is the onomatopoeia of something that's sticking to you because there's so much of it on you, kind of like being doused in something, and it does specifically relate to like liquids being doused on you. Ase guchari is actually a really common and normal term that is used to exactly describe what ridiculously sweaty is. You could also say ase darake, and that means sweaty all over. Darake means it's like just all over you. I went with guchari because I feel like the word ridiculous is usually used to overemphasize a situation to make it a little bit more comical, and I do feel like guchari serves that purpose better than darake. And ase darake ni nachchaimashita. Nachchaimashita is kind of like an informal, cuter way of saying like it happened. Naru means to happen, so nachchaimashita is past tense. It's like oops, it happened. So the other way to say social anxiety disorder in Japanese is shako fuan shogai. Shako means social or socially. Fuan means unsure, so therefore anxious. And shogai, when you put it all together, means disorder, but when you say it by itself, it actually just means impediment, like something is in the way. For terms that people toss around like social anxiety or social disorder, I would actually normally go with shako fuan shogai because it connotes the anxiety that occurs during a social gathering, like a party, rather than the anxiety coming from the social interaction itself. I feel like when people say, I'm too socially awkward or anxious for this, they're not necessarily perpetually socially awkward about communicating or interacting with one another. I actually think that it's the social gathering that's causing the anxiety, which is why shako fuan shogai would work perfectly for that. So now that we know the catch-all terminology for social anxiety disorder, I actually want to go back to explaining taijin kyofusho because it turns out that that's actually a Japanese cultural specific disorder. I think it is maybe recognized in South Korea as well, but I thought that was super interesting, so I want to talk about that just a little bit. As I explained earlier when I was translating, taijin kyofusho specifically has to do with the anxiety that's caused by your fear that your body and its bodily functions and its movements and all those physical things may offend the other person you are interacting with. There are a lot of subcategories for taijin kyofusho. Among them is actually the fear of blushing, which is called sekimen kyofu. Another one is called shintai shuke shogai, which is actually a form of body dysmorphic disorder, but in Japanese it's the fear that you have a deformed body, and therefore the actual fear is that you're going to offend people with your deformed body. There's even a subcategory for people who are afraid that their handwriting isn't good enough, so they're afraid of writing in front of people. That's called shoke or shinsen kyofusho, and you thought you were awkward. Anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about all the different ways you could say awkward in Japanese to lighten things up a bit. I found all the subtle differences really interesting, and I want to share them with you. First, Kimazui is probably the most like the English term awkward. It's used to describe the ambiance or the moment or situation. So you can actually literally just say, wa kimazui, and it'll literally mean, whoa, awkward. Another example sentence would be, kimazuku shite gomen ne, and that's just simply, I'm sorry for making it awkward. Another way to say awkward is gikochinai. Gikochinai leans heavily on the concept of being clumsy, so an example sentence would be, kono mobu kyara no ugoki ga gikochinai, which means this NPC's movements are awkward because it's unnatural. That's really what it's leaning towards. This thing is unnatural, gikochinai. And another way to say awkward would be terekusai, but this is more about being shy or timid. An example sentence would be, konoko terekusai no yo ne, and you're basically saying this kid is shy / timid, but you're really supposed to read between the lines and understand that the sentence actually unpacks to be, this kid is behaving awkwardly because they feel shy. The last one I want to go over is commonly known as KY, which is kuki yomenai, and that literally in English translates to, you can't read the air, which actually means you can't read the situation, which the results can be quite awkward. But kuki yomenai is more about being maybe dense and ignorant rather than being awkward in and of itself. And that's it for now. What did you guys think of this episode of Reina Sensei? I personally enjoyed it a lot because I love psychology and I loved being able to tie it into language. It was really fun for me, so I hope you guys really liked it as well. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did in fact enjoy it. Leave me comments in the comment section below telling me if you learned something new in this episode, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Turn on notifications to know every time I upload a new episode of stuff on my channel. Anyway, thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. そんじゃまたね!